Hello everyone, my name is Zachary O'Shea, and this is Box of Teeth. Every October for the last few years, I've shared a homebrewed Dungeons & Dragons monster with everyone, and this October is no different. So here is your October Monster a Day for October 30th, 2023. We only have 2 more days left in October, and at the end of October every year for October Monster a Day, what I do are BBEGs, which are Big Bad Evil Guys or Gals, or Big Bad N Guys or Gals, depending on what language you want to use in that context. These are usually really high tier monsters. They're meant to be kind of the end bosses of a campaign, or the big boogeyman that's in the background that often your player characters will never get to, as most campaigns don't last that long, but they can always be there as a hovering threat to scare them. And today we're going to go over, well, certainly a hovering threat, and that is the Condemnation of Enoch Loon. Let me just explain what the whole concept of Enoch Loon is. It is something I've used in my homebrewed campaign and posted a few monsters about, where Enoch Loon is pretty much inspired by Ozymandias from the old poem. Most people know that from, of course, Watchmen. But it is a poem by Shelley, I believe, about a wanderer who finds an ancient statue, like a bust, out in the middle of the desert that talks about this king of kings, and no one really remembers who this guy is. His vast empire has been destroyed, and that's Enoch Loon, where there's little fragments of this ancient empire around that was all founded by this narcissist, megalomaniac, sorcerer king that keeps having little bits of it show back up, or at least come back to life, or in this case, unlife. Wearing a verdigris death mask, bearing a long braided beard as part of it, this remnant of the Sorcerer King's forgotten empire still strives to bring judgment to all those who bowed before false divinity. What exactly is false divinity? Why, anything not cowering before the dread gaze of Enoch Loon, of course. In life, the ghost was the chief inquisitor for the empire, and the sentence was always death. Now it wanders the landscape changed by centuries of history and refuses to let go of its devotion to the long-dead Sorcerer King. Rounding out its attire is a long robe curling over itself, edged with geometric patterns and finger-bone tassels. Its bare skull is partially covered by a conical headdress with cracked gray gemstones. The bottom of the robe trails off into nothingness, though a clutch of hanging chains connecting to the rock he was drowned with can occasionally be seen. A singularly powerful ghost, the Condemnation of Enoch Loon, is utterly disgusted by the modern world and travels the realm, awakening the constructs and undead within the ruins of Enoch Loon's empire. He plans to raze the modern world to the ground and rebuild it as a society dedicated once more to that Sorcerer King. When Enoch Loon returns, he will find the world as it should be, and the ghost's devotion will be rewarded. Of course, the ancient megalomaniac is long dead, and his work all but swallowed by the sands of time. But the Condemnation of Enoch Loon is just too crazed to care. As a point of reference, everything for Enoch Loon certainly should have like a ancient Sumerian, Babylonian feel in the way that it looks. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Condemnation of Enoch Loon's statistics for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. He is a CR 21 ghost, thus he is undead, he has a lot of hit points, an okay armor class, saving throws are pretty decent, he has a lot of skills, he has a lot of damage reductions, he has a lot of damage immunities, and a lot of condition immunities, because again, he is a ghost. He can speak Common, Elvish, and the tongue of Enoch Loon, which is a lost language. He does have Chill of the Grave, so any creature that starts a turn within 30 feet of him or enters that space for the first time on their turn takes 1d10 cold damage, but the ghost can turn this on and off as a bonus action. He has Ethereal Sight, he has Incorporeal, just as any ghost would, along with Magic Resistance. He does have Withering Touch, but this is a much more ramped up version. Besides doing a lot of necrotic damage, if it reduces a creature to 0 hit points, they're essentially turned into a pile of salt, and the rules are more or less those for Disintegrate, so you need a Wish spell to bring them back. He does have Proclamation of Doom, so if any creature can hear him when he uses it within 60 feet, they have to make a wisdom save or become frightened. If they fail that save by 5 or more, then they also start taking psychic damage every turn, and the save can repeat it at the end of each turn. He does have Etherealness, as every ghost would, and he does have Telekinetic Thrust, again, really ramped up. So he does have 90 feet reach. He can lift objects up to 500 pounds, and he throws them. He gets a really high bonus to hit because it's based off his charisma of 30. That also does quite a bit of damage, bludgeoning damage as it were, when it slams into things. So he can certainly be a powerful foe that is clearly crazed, caught in the good old days, as it were, traveling from ancient ruin to ancient ruin, waking up undead horrors and ancient constructs to start destroying the modern world around them. He cannot be reasoned with. He cannot be stopped. Well, he can, but you gotta have higher level characters. I always enjoy sharing creatures from the Enoch Loon mythos with folks because they're just strange and different, and they're really kind of fragmented. They're a nice break that I use from the usual Waning Court monsters in my campaign. Just kind of mix it up a bit, but still keep a horror theme to the game. Just kind of that ancient, deep desert horror, even though the world that they're now in is now kind of overgrown and forested and the like. Now, you can always find the Condemnation of Enoch Loon, all the creatures for this October, all the creatures for previous Octobers, and hundreds of other horror-themed monsters for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, all perfectly free, at boxofteeth.blogspot.com. If you're more interested in the other horror projects that I have that are not D&D related, or the horror fiction that I write, which includes grease paint right there, you can always go to www.zacharyoshay.com. Thank you all for your time and your attention, and I am super excited for tomorrow.